So I want to share this scripture that really rattled my cage a few weeks ago. I was meditating on the word, and it's a familiar passage, but new light, fresh revelation, and maybe for you it's old news, but for me, it really shifted my attention and caused me to rethink how I've been approaching what I'm called to do for the Lord. Now, this is especially meaningful for the women who are in ministry. You serve, you lead, whether you're the pastor, the preacher, the associate, or you're faithful over the Sunday school. Maybe you just show up every day and stand at your post as a greeter, but you do a lot of things behind the scenes. Let's go to Luke chapter 10, beginning at verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." I know we've heard this before, and there are books for years, maybe even centuries, that have been written about the difference between the Martha spirit and the Mary spirit. Or there have been these comparisons about the two natures that these women seem to give us an example and some insight into about what it means to serve the Lord. Martha is the busybody, the doer, the goer, the type A probably, the one who in that culture probably owned the home because she was the oldest and left as the matriarch of the family. Normally in that culture, women didn't right out own their own business or property. It came to them as a result of a father leaving an inheritance or a husband leaving something for his widow. We don't know exactly which is the case with Martha, but we do know Martha is kind of that boss woman, okay? She's getting things done. She's the personality that's going to take care of making sure everything is in order. She's the go-to. You know, that strong friend that you have who's always going to get things together? I think about Martha, and I also think about how it was her service to the Lord. You see, in that culture, hospitality was a big deal. When you had the rabbi of all rabbis to visit your home, oh my God, everything had to be right. I mean, could you imagine in that day, Jesus, who is the best, most popular, and most controversial itinerant preacher, was going to visit your place? You've heard about the miracles. You've heard about his confrontations. Like, this is a major deal. And so not only in the culture was hospitality a big deal, but having this important person in your home, well, I mean, everything had to be just perfect. And this is Martha's way of honoring Jesus, of serving the Lord, making sure that everything was just right. Now, you cannot fault Martha for wanting everything to be perfect. I mean, after all, isn't Jesus worthy? Absolutely. And so when I started thinking about the culture and the ways that I often display a Martha kind of spirit, wanting every I dotted, wanting every T crossed, that leads us almost into this perfectionism that prohibits our productivity, because we can get consumed on all the details and be worried and anxious about things that ultimately don't really matter. How do I know this? Well, Martha in the text gets upset, and she is upset with Mary, but she lashes out at Jesus. Now, that's some guts for you. I mean, that's Martha got that spirit. That's a sister you probably don't want to get upset, because she is taking Jesus to the carpet on something that he is not really responsible for. Like, she wants Mary to change, but she's going to Jesus to make Jesus say something so Mary can make a change. It's kind of like how we do in prayer. We want with our spouses especially, or our children, God, fix them. Why don't you do something? And it's interesting how Jesus turns that around and actually provides a loving but very firm correction to Martha. Now, before I get there, let's talk about Mary. Mary has been idolized by many, and this is not, of course, his mother, but Mary, the one who sat at his feet. Listen, Mary is actually being kind of this contrarian to the culture. Sitting at a rabbi's feet was a place for the disciples. That's where you sat when you were gleaning and learning. You were seen as a student to be taught and to drink in every word. She's postured herself at the feet of Jesus to learn, to be close enough to him in a space where women were usually prohibited. Mary is taking up space, like going against the grain, this very subtle kind of resistance to whatever was the norm. Well, that's where Mary is. And I don't want us to miss that, because sometimes to get closer to Jesus, you have to do something that is not common. You have to be willing to position yourself and go against the grain, even of your culture, how you were raised. Like, just think about it. Martha was probably raised to take care of the house, to be a great, wonderful hostess, to make sure that everything was in place. It's part of her culture, maybe even her DNA as the boss lady she is, the oldest and probably just the one that everybody went to get things done. And yet, in this most significant scenario of Jesus entering their home, she's doing what she's been trained to do. She's doing what's natural to her. And yet Mary is the one going against the grain, being the one who is countercultural. Mary is the one who is actually affirmed. Could you imagine that? Jesus is saying the one who goes against the norm is actually choosing the better option. There's so many things that can get us distracted, worried, anxious. And some of it has to do with how we've been shaped, how we've been reared, how we've been, put upon by society. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain expectation for what a woman's place is. And yet, when we find ourselves trying to operate in that space, we get frustrated and worn out, even if it's how we've been raised, until we have an encounter with Jesus. I am so grateful for this scenario because it teaches me, as a person who is often, because I'm the oldest, because I'm a leader in ministry, because I'm known for getting things done, that sometimes maybe I have to do what's different. Maybe I have to rethink my priorities. And instead of getting wound up and anxious or worried and stretched beyond my capacity, maybe it's time that I take Mary's posture. Now, some might say, especially our task-oriented sisters, well, Mary's just wasting time. She needs to get up and do something. Or we would say Mary's lazy. Or we would see that as the soft life. And yeah, she's at the feet of Jesus. Let me say this, and I hope it helps, both the Martha spirits and the Marys. Sometimes that posture of sitting at the feet of the Lord is also uncomfortable. Do you know what it's probably like to have people gawking at you, criticizing you, telling you that you're doing it wrong? Can you imagine? There may have been men in the room gazing around and wondering, whispering, what is she doing here? Why is she in that space? It takes a different kind of boldness to literally position yourself and stay there. But when you know the one who has called you to that place, when you know that you have permission by Jesus to be wherever he is, that should give you confidence. Confidence to stick and stay and to get everything you need out of the moment. Even when the pressures come from those who are closest to you, that they expect you should be doing something different. Listen, that posture that Mary had was also a posture not only to receive from the Lord, but to rest in the Lord. Many times, sisters, we are going and going, driven and really doing the most. I can hear Jesus saying, listen, ladies, you're going and you're doing it. You're bossing it up. You are making moves, but you're also tired and depleted. You're also worried about many things that don't matter. And actually, Mary has chosen the better thing. I dare you to think about this in your life right now. How might the Lord be calling you to sit and receive? Choose the better thing. I know we get our identity sometimes from being that woman who is the mover and shaker. She is the one who makes it happen. She's the one that's the go-to. And sometimes we need to really be honest about how we gain our self-worth through being the person that everybody calls on or the one who has all the answers, when God hasn't required that of us. We have to be those who, like Mary, take up space even in countercultural, unusual times, but to receive that which is the better, because that is what will not be taken from us. You see, I was thinking about how Martha was doing all of the busy work and yes, probably preparing food. Yes, making sure that everything was in order, but those things quickly change and pass away. But Mary would be able to leave with something much more significant, the very words of Christ, the very imprint of the Word of God on her heart that will go with her wherever she goes. And what if God is calling us to that? What if God is saying, in all the busyness and all the hustle and everything that grind culture and trying to make moves tries to impose upon us, God says, I want you to be still long enough, sitting quietly at my feet so that I can give you what you need that will not be taken from you, that cannot be lost through a down economy, that cannot be stolen if somebody robs your house, that cannot be credited to somebody else if you're on the job and they don't want to give you the acknowledgement. What if you take something from being in my presence that will stay and last forever? I get it. I know we don't always have that time, but maybe this is the hour. This is the moment that you can make a mental shift and pivot in your life, so that you see the balance and the beauty in both natures. As a Martha, yes, there will be times we have to get things done, and we'll have the honor and the privilege of doing something great and grand that will be a bit taxing on our time and energy, but it will be worth it because it is service unto the Lord. So absolutely go for it with all you have, with all your might. Serve the Lord with gladness. And whatever you do, right? Do it as unto the Lord. But then there'll also be times when we're called to sit at his feet. Don't minimize that. Don't think that you're doing less or that you're lazy. Don't allow yourself to be pressured by what others think, whether they are close to you in the room or they're afar off, examining your life and they don't even know the price you've paid to posture yourself at the feet of the Lord. I'm telling you what I know from my own life, and a word to all of my women who are leaders, those who are at the top level of your game, the CEOs, the pastors, the ministers. Listen, the homemakers who are raising a family and keeping everything in order, and yet you deprive yourself of the privilege of simply being still in the presence of the Lord. May I say to you, it's time. It's time to put off the things that are really non-essential and get back to the intensified life, where we are intentional about securing our spot in the presence of the Lord so that we can be recipients of all that God has for us. I hope that this inspires you to rethink what culture, what maybe even your own nature and what others have said that has pressed you into a grind and a pace, a routine for life that really is not serving you well, so that you can give yourself permission, even if it means being in an unusual space for a season. Choose the better part, that which will not be taken from you and which will lead to abundant life, even the intensified life. Just a few of the nuggets I received from this very, very familiar passage, but something that I'm taking with me into the next phase of my fruitfulness. So let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, share, and leave your comments. This is Intensified Life TV. Just chewing on a little bit of the word, trying to get better as I go. Take care.